Wednesday. Many of us are halfway through our work weeks, which is always a good milestone to get to. Now, the weather has been pretty calm so far this week. We did have a few passing showers on Monday, but that was about it. Yesterday was certainly a calm day of weather, and today we are going to follow suit. In fact, today is going to be nearly identical to the weather that we did see yesterday before some changes might start to arrive this weekend. So without further ado, let's get into the weather story. I'm going to flip the camera around, pardon my finger here as I do that, and here we go. This is a look at the weather cam this morning in Yakima, and you can certainly see some of those foggy conditions. We have been looking at fog throughout the morning for much of the region. I'm just going to try to tilt my camera up here so you have a better look at my computer screen. Again, we have been dealing with some fog around much of the region this morning, much like we did see yesterday morning. And as we just take a look at the current fog situation, you can see patchy areas of dense fog around eastern Washington and northeast Oregon as we are starting off this Wednesday. Again, not too different than we did see yesterday. I will say that tomorrow morning will offer more of the same with patchy areas of dense fog here and there. So that is just kind of par for the course, really, for eastern Washington and northeast Oregon for this time of year. Nothing too unexpected, but still something you should be mindful of as you are going to be starting off your mornings for the next couple of days. Now, high temperatures today are once again going to be slightly above average, a departure from January when we did see those weeks, or I should say there was about that 2-week stretch in January where we didn't eclipse the 40s. Now we are pushing 50 degrees in many cases in eastern Washington and northeast Oregon with these above average temperatures. Now, what I will say is that it is going to be a cloudy day, so don't expect above average daytime highs and sunshine. We are going to keep the clouds around, but at least these temperatures are going to be tolerable if you have anything to do outdoors. And we're going to keep similar temperatures as we go through the weekend. And I think that's important to note because we are going to welcome back some active weather this weekend. So you might be wondering if we're going to see any kind of big time temperature change, but you should just be aware that we are going to be looking at similar daytime highs to what we see today all the way through the coming weekend. But now I've referenced it a couple of times already, the potential active weather set to arrive this weekend. So now let's talk about that with the Storm Tracker Futurecast. Calm weather conditions through Friday, but then as we get into Saturday, here comes our next weather maker. As soon as Saturday afternoon, we are going to see some precipitation entering eastern Washington and northeast Oregon. Kittitas County and Yakima County likely getting in on that precipitation as soon as Saturday afternoon. For the Tri-Cities, out to Walla Walla, down to Pendleton, Milton Freewater, for the Columbia Basin and Blue Mountain foothills, we're likely going to hold off on the precipitation until Saturday evening, but definitely looking at some active weather entering the forecast area potentially as soon as Saturday. Now, this is a bit of a departure from what we were talking about yesterday. As of yesterday, it looked like almost all of us were going to hold off on precipitation until Saturday evening or Sunday, so models have changed a bit. We'll have to watch these trends rather closely, but it does look now like Saturday might be an active day of weather along with Sunday. Now, speaking of Sunday, as we advance forward in time to Sunday, widespread precipitation across the entirety of the forecast area as we do get into Super Bowl Sunday. Everybody is going to be looking at precipitation on Sunday. In fact, Sunday at this point is trending like it will be a pretty soggy one. Now, as we advance into Monday, many of us are going to stay dry, but there's still going to be a slight chance of some showers here and there around the forecast area. The best opportunities for precipitation, though, at least for lower elevations, will be the Blue Mountain foothills come Monday. Now, something else I want to note, you can see those shades of blue popping up on the Cascade and Blue Mountains. We are certainly going to be looking at some snow flying in our mountain zones, especially as we get into Monday. And for more on that, here is a look at our snow levels as we go through the weekend. On Saturday, snow levels are going to be quite high at around 6,000 feet. So if you have any mountain pass travel planned, you shouldn't fret too much about that. Those snow levels on Saturday certainly above all of our major mountain passes. On Sunday, snow levels will fall down to around 4,500 feet. So if you have any mountain pass travel plans over White Pass, then you should be aware that you might encounter some snow falling on White Pass on Sunday. And then as we get to Monday, Snow levels will fall down to around 3,000 feet, so all of our mountain passes in both the Cascades and the Blues will likely start to experience some of that snowfall on Monday. And then if there's any lingering precipitation into Tuesday, we're going to be looking at snowfall all over our mountain passes then as well. So we're going to be looking at precipitation certainly Saturday, Sunday, and Monday around really the entirety of the forecast area. On Saturday, snow levels are going to be very high above all of our mountain passes. On Sunday, snow levels fall down to 4,500 feet, so you should count on some snow over White Pass, but Snoqualmie Pass will still offer relatively smooth sailing. And then as we get into Monday, when those snow levels fall down to 3,000 feet, all of our mountain passes in the Cascades and the Blues will be receiving some snowfall. Now, any snowfall would be good because we have, or I should say we certainly are in a snowpack deficit. If you joined me on several of these YouTube lives, I've often talked about the snow water equivalent. This is a little bit of a different view. This is the snow depth at any given location, and I think these numbers tell a pretty dire story. On White Pass this time of year, we normally have 51 inches of snowfall. Right now, we're only sitting at 21 inches of snow on the ground, meaning we're about 41% of the average. Over Snoqualmie Pass, typically at this time of year, there are 76 inches of snow on the ground. Right now, we only have about 30 inches of snow, so about 40% of that yearly average, or of that average of where we should be for this time of year. Stevens Pass, normally we have 83 inches of snow on the ground this year, only sitting at 32 inches of snow on the ground right now. It is 39% of average. And then you can see Mission Ridge and Paradise also not looking too good when it does come to that snow depth. Now, these snow depth numbers are only updated twice a month. The last snow depth survey was updated on February 1st, so that is what these numbers represent, that snow depth as of February 1st. The snow water equivalent numbers are updated more frequently than that. So as we take a look at the snow water equivalent, how much snowfall is in our snowpack, those numbers aren't good either. The lower Yakima Basin sitting at only about 54% of that snow water equivalent of where we should be this time of year. The upper Yakima Basin down to 38%, the lower Columbia Basin sitting at 46%, and the central Columbia Basin, the best basin out of all of those listed, but even that, we're only sitting at 68%. So whether you're looking at snow depth or the snow water equivalent, how much snow is locked in that snowpack, we are not doing good around the state of Washington, not doing good in the Pacific Northwest in general. So if we can start to maybe welcome in some snowfall, that would definitely be some good news. And what I will say is that there are models that do suggest in the more extended range that we could be looking at a pretty active mid to late February coming our way, which again would be very good news considering the lack of snowpack that we currently do have. So that's kind of what I have to say for now. So kind of in summary, calm weather conditions through at least Friday. As we get into the weekend, we are going to be looking at that more active weather pattern developing. Rainfall for most of us on Saturday and on Sunday. At some point on Saturday, whether it rolls in on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, many of us will start to see some raindrops on Saturday. Sunday is going to be a pretty soggy day, and then there's going to be lingering showers on Monday. In terms of that mountain snowfall, Saturday we'll have some pretty high snow levels, falling a bit on Sunday down to around 4,500 feet. And then come Monday, we're going to see snow levels down to around 3,000 feet. So all of our mountain passes by Monday will be picking up some snowfall. And then as I was just referencing, more extended weather models do suggest that potentially, just potentially towards the mid to later stages of February, we could be looking at some more active weather coming our way, which would be highly beneficial to that snowpack. Of course, that's still a long ways out. We're going to have to see how things develop as we get towards there. But again, I'm cautiously optimistic that we might be able to bump those snowpack numbers up a little bit, which we certainly need because those snowpack numbers right now are not looking too good. So that's all I have to say for now. I'm going to flip the camera around one more time so you can get a look at the foggy Yakima. I hope all of you have an absolutely tremendous Wednesday coming our way, a great Thursday, and I'll plan on doing another one of these on Friday. Take care, everybody.